Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Michael B, and today we're going to be taking another look at Iconic Arcade and the Street Fighter XXL cab. This cab was announced all the way back in January, and since then, so much has happened that has left us with so many questions. However, now people are kind of lashing back and saying we're asking too much from this company and we should expect less. Is that true? Or does Iconic owe us some answers for some of these questions? So that's right, guys. We're going to be taking one final look at Iconic Arcade before they actually give us some answers ahead of their now new Q4 release date for the cabinet. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notification, all that YouTube jazz. So I want to take you guys back to a pretty exciting time in January when several of our friends and other YouTubers, B-Kong, 19K Fox, and Console Kits headed off to Vegas for CES, where we got the official unveiling of the Iconic Arcade Street Fighter XXL cab. This was going to be the new competition for Arcade 1-Up, coming in, filling that void in the XXL space that Arcade 1-Up has seemingly forgot about, and our first title was going to be Street Fighter, including a Street Fighter Alpha 2 cab, which was all very exciting. Now, the Iconic Arcade was originally supposed to come out in June of 2025. Since then, several things have happened that have left people with a ton of questions about what the cab will ultimately be or look like by the time it actually comes out. Now, me personally, this is obviously a product I was super interested in. I love the Arcade 1-Up XL cabs. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get them here in Canada, and the output has been a little disappointing at one a year, blocked behind that paywall of the club stores, and only available really in the US, so I haven't been able to get any more. So it was great to see another company come out and offer something in a bigger size and bigger format that I was going to be able to buy, and that was new. Street Fighter, which was an XL cab we hadn't had already, I was pretty excited for. Now, right off the hop, there were already some questions about the release. I was very adamant that I did not like the original art, and Iconic took that into consideration and said that they were going to put forward a survey allowing pre-order holders to basically vote on what the art should be. Now, this was announced all the way back on my show back in January. Since then, we have received absolutely zero update. Nobody that's a pre-order holder has received a survey. So at this point, we have no idea what the art's going to be like. Is there going to be any change, or are they sticking with the original design? Then, of course, shortly after that, something very odd happened with the Iconic Arcade website. When you scroll down, you can see the two machines, which originally you would click on one or the other to be linked to the VMI website in order to do your pre-order. However, as you can see, that link got broken, and was broken for about a month before anybody really asked any real questions. And still to this day, we have no idea why this link is still broken. You still cannot go to the pre-order site, and there is no reasoning for it. Plus, if you go back to the Iconic Arcade website with the splash screen video that they did, it still lists the release date as coming in June 2025. So this would be very confusing for anybody finding out about this product now and possibly going to try to order one. Now, even though the link was broken on the website, it was still possible to order if you used a direct link to the VMI website. It was still up for pre-order, so if anybody had any questions about the broken link, that wouldn't prevent people from pre-ordering because the link was still out there. It's closed now, but me personally, I was holding off until I got more information specifically about the artwork because it was a big deal for me. I wanted to know what the new artwork would be. And I also had some other questions that were raised by the other people that were there in person to check out the prototypes. So now I go back to this video from my buddy 19K Fox, with B-Kong and with console kits. Now, I haven't heard from console kits, but I've heard from both 19K Fox and B-Kong on their shows that they're personally not thinking about picking up one of these iconic arcades. Even though they went and seen the prototype in person, they're not thinking about picking one up. And that raised some questions for me with B. I know B's got some external issues. He's already got a house full of arcades, so he's trying to do the right thing and make sure the house is comfortable for him and his family. And he kind of stated, well, I already have an arcade with a Pi in it, so I don't really see the point in adding another. Plus, he already has a couple Street Fighter machines he's pretty happy with. But 19K Fox, on the other hand, raised some other questions that probably led to questions I had and the community had regarding the UI, because apparently there was no UI done at the time that the prototype was launched. So there was some concern from that, one of which also being that some of the games weren't playable on other cabs. And me personally, it got me thinking, what would the UI look like for adding your games through the Pi? Now, while 19K Fox's video is more of a talking piece, B-Kong put up an excellent video for his hands-on preview, and the cab looks really cool. Like, there's questions about the buttons and other things like that, and I think they're going to be fine. I think they said they were HAP clones and stuff like that. I mean, if you've played an arcade 1-up, I wouldn't expect too much higher quality, but should be slightly an upgrade to that. And the actual gameplay on the cab, the screen, and, the cab shape itself looks pretty good. So, you can kind of put some of those other things aside and say, all right, I feel comfortable in pre-ordering this. But that's where Iconic Arcade stepped in again and actually answered one question by raising even more questions for the community to ask. So B was also at another event Iconic Arcade actually participated in, where they went out to work with Arc System Works to show off an Iconic Arcade prototype for a Double Dragon cab and a Double Dragon Revive, the other cab. So while he was at that convention, he got to take a look at these prototypes, which everybody's really excited about. We would love an XL Double Dragon cab, and I mean, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. The guys who put this together did an amazing job. Even though the side art doesn't say Taito, it's still pretty friggin' cool. However, at the exact same event, Iconic Arcade did issue a statement to explain what's going on with the website, link being down, what's going on with the product, and it read like this: we remain on track to release the highly anticipated arcade Street Fighter XXL later this year. However, in light of newly introduced tariffs, we are reviewing production adjustments based on fan feedback to ensure we deliver the best possible experience. While our original target was June, these changes may result in a slight shift in the delivery timeline. We will provide a formal update as soon as details are finalized. Now, that update then created more community questions, believe it or not. What are these changes to the cab that we're possibly going to see? Is there going to be a change with the screen? Is there going to be a change with the shape? Is there going to be other changes? Are you going to have to use cheaper components in order to make the price work for what people pre-ordered? These are questions that Iconic have raised themselves with the statement that they have made. Well, with all these questions going on, I actually held off from my pre-order, and I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought, eventually they would provide an update on some of these things, and then I would finally put my pre-order down. Again, this is a machine I was really looking forward to. I love the Arcade 1-Up XL cabs. I was looking forward to add another one in, but of course, I wanted answers to some of these questions, and I think some people in the community did too. Then finally, emails went out to the pre-order holders saying, thank you so much for your recent pre-order and for being a part of the Iconic Arcade community. We're thrilled to have you along for the ride as we bring retro gaming back in style. We're currently reaching out with a quick update due to the current tariff situation. We've had to make the tough decision to delay shipments until Q4 target date of 10/15 this year. This move is necessary to avoid significant increases in retail prices and to ensure we can deliver your arcade machine without compromising value or quality. If you made a partial payment, you will receive an email 10/1 to pay the remaining balance. Good news is your pre-order is locked in at the original price you paid. No additional cost, no surprises. Truly appreciate your patience and support. We're just as excited as you are about the launch, and we're working hard behind the scenes to make sure it's worth the wait. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We're here to help. Now, I read that message and I was like, Okay, great. Like, it's a delay. Some people are going to be annoyed. Some people are going to cancel their order. I didn't really think much more of it than that. And I was still holding out, waiting for answers on some of the questions I had. But apparently, something that completely slipped my mind and I didn't see, and everybody just assumed I should know, was another announcement went out from John directly saying that the Street Fighter XXL arcade machine now released, now targeting Q4 2025 on Facebook. As part of the ongoing global tariff change and necessary production adjustments, we are pausing pre orders to allow for internal updates based on fan feedback and pricing realignment. While we work closely with our factory partners to secure additional inventory, we are shifting our anticipated launch window to quarter four 2025. So I completely missed that part. And guess what? I missed the pre orders and I didn't get my answers, but now I can't pre order. Now, I actually told this story Monday night during a show I do called Chill and Chat. During a community stream, we talked about the situation going on with Iconic Arcade, and I expressed my frustration in missing out on the pre-order, and I wanted to ask other people what they thought about missing out on the pre-order and still not getting the questions before the pre-order closed. It turns out not everybody was happy with my sentiment or my continued egging on of Iconic Arcade to provide answers. You guys all know Paul. Paul is a regular contributor in the comments on Super Game Room Dudes, other shows, really big Arcade 1-Up fan, loves the XL arcades. He stated, I continue to be amused by people demanding every detail about the Iconic Arcade cab. How many other companies, Analog, Polycade, Atari, etc., showed a couple renders and went dark for months or years before delivering anything? Then you have companies like Amico that showed stuff every week only to fail completely and not deliver. Sure, it'd be nice to hear more, but if you're worried, get a refund and move on. This isn't complicated. Now, while I do agree with Paul on some of the negativity towards Iconic Arcade, if you're a pre-order holder and you're kind of pissed off about these things, you can actually cancel. Iconic Arcade, VMI have been great about the cancellation policy. People usually get their money back like right away. There's no issue there. I know there have been people out there speculating that this was a grab money and run type scenario, but that hasn't been the case at all. You can just cancel your pre-order. But what about us fans that are really excited about this and then still looking to pre-order but have these questions? Even the people that did pre-order that don't want to cancel, that have these questions, don't they deserve answers too? And specifically answers that are to questions that Iconic Arcade put out themselves, like the ones I mentioned earlier. They're the ones that brought up the survey for the art, so therefore that's the reason why we would possibly want an answer on that. And related to the tariff changes, whether it be parts, component, design, they're also the ones that brought that up. So I think it's fair that people that are interested in possibly buying one of these or that already pre-ordered at least get answers on that. Forget about the other stuff with, 19K Fox and the UI question and other questions people have and the nonsense with the potential lawsuit with Arcade 1-Up or, rumored cease and desist. None of that stuff matters. Really, at the end of the day, the two questions that Iconic Arcade have posed, asked the community and we need answers to are on the results of the survey with the art and what changes will be made to the cab due to tariffs. Now, at the end of the day, this is still a product I'm still very excited for. I'm looking forward to. I hope it's successful. I hope the Street Fighter XXL does well, and I hope Iconic Arcade continues to produce more cabinets in the XXL line for people like me that want more XL cabinets. I apologize if these questions are upsetting hardcore fans or super fans, but these are questions that we deserve answers to. The other thing that you have to take into consideration here when talking about this is, again, this is an unknown quantity as a product. We've never seen this delivery from Iconic Arcade before. This isn't like an Arcade 1-Up where we're familiar with the UI, we're familiar with how it works, how the online works, how the game works. That's something that we've seen. There's a proven track record. It might not be perfect, but for the people that like it, you know what to expect. But with Iconic Arcade, This is a brand new entity, a brand new product. So I'm sorry if there's additional questions before the first cab goes out. If this was cab 3 or 4, a lot of these questions would not continue to show up in live streams and videos of people talking about this product. So anyways, guys, that's my piece on this. To those people that think that I'm being too hard on Iconic Arcade by asking too many questions, you're entitled to your opinion, but I hope I have shown a little bit during this video why these questions are valid and why people that are interested in the product or have already pre-ordered, why they're asking it and why they're demanding answers. It's not uncommon for companies not to respond, but again, like I said, this is an unknown entity, a product we have never seen before, so we're a little bit curious. And then on top of that, Iconic Arcade themselves have brought forward some items that raise questions, like with the artwork survey and with the notice that there were going to be some changes due to tariff-related constraints. So I think at the end of the day, you know, if they don't answer, that's fine. But maybe because of some of the stuff brought up, maybe an answer wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Anyways, guys, let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on this? Should Iconic Arcade provide answers to all the questions the community have? Should they at least provide answers to the questions they raise themselves? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.